In the summer of 2025, 6 friends began a road trip across America. They wanted to make a documentary about abandoned places. One night, they stopped at a gas station in Montana. There, Mason found an old leather map in a box of junk. On the map, there was a place. A town called Ash Hollow. But no such place existed on Google Maps. The group decided to go. They laughed about it at first. But Ellie felt uneasy. "Some towns disappear for a reason," she said. The next day, they drove into the mountains. The road grew narrow. Trees leaned in closer. The radio stopped working. Then, a sign appeared through the fog. Ash Hollow, population. The number was scratched out. When they entered the town, everything was quiet. No birds. No people. No sound. Houses stood frozen in time. Dinner plates still on tables. Clothes still in closets. It felt like the people had left in a hurry. That night, they stayed in an old house. Tyler lit a candle. On the wall, there were names carved into the wood. Mason read them aloud. Ellie. Mason. Tyler. Wait. These are our names. The group went silent. In the cracked mirror, 6 faces stared back. But there was a 7th figure. Standing behind them. In the center of Ash Hollow, the van sat in the middle of an empty street. The 6 friends stood outside, staring at the rows of houses. They all looked the same. Wooden. Silent. As if the town had been waiting for them. The air smelled like dust and something faintly sweet. There were no birds. No wind. Just stillness. Mason stepped forward first. "All right. This house looks good." He pointed to the nearest one, a 2-story building with a sagging porch and cracked windows. The others followed, carrying sleeping bags and cameras. The door creaked loudly when they pushed it open. Inside, the air was stale and heavy. The living room was full of old furniture. A wooden rocking chair swayed gently, though no one had touched it. Ellie whispered, "Did you feel that? Like, we weren't supposed to open the door." Tyler laughed nervously. "It's just your imagination. Come on." They dropped their bags in the living room. The sun was setting fast, and they didn't want to be outside after dark. Jasmine lit an old lantern they found in the kitchen. A warm glow filled the room, but it didn't reach the corners. The shadows stayed thick. They explored the house, room by room. In one bedroom, the bed was still made. In another, there were children's toys scattered on the floor. It felt like the people had left in a hurry. In the hallway, Sarah stopped. On the wall, she saw names carved into the wood. Her flashlight flickered as she read them aloud. Ellie. Mason. Tyler. Jasmine. Sarah. Jake. Her voice trailed off. "Wait, these are our names." The group gathered around, staring at the words. The letters looked old. As if they had been there for years. Mason frowned. "That's impossible. Someone's playing a joke." Downstairs, a faint sound echoed. Creak, creak, creak. The rocking chair was moving again. But nobody was near it. Ellie backed away. "I don't like this." Suddenly, a loud click. An old gramophone in the corner started playing. A scratchy voice sang an old tune. "Ashes, ashes, we all fall down." The friends froze. Tyler ran over and yanked the cord from the wall. But the music kept playing. Jasmine whispered, "Let's just sleep in the van. Please." But when they stepped outside, the fog had thickened. The van was barely visible in the street. Jake pointed at the road. "Wait, didn't we come from that direction?" The road twisted into the fog and disappeared. There was no way back. They went inside again. That night, no one slept well. At 2:13 a.m., Jake woke up to a sound. A whisper. Soft. Calling his name. "Jake. Jake, come see." He grabbed his flashlight and stepped into the hallway. The air was colder now. He could see his breath. At the end of the hall, a shadow moved. "Who's there?" he asked. No reply. Jake walked outside. The fog was so thick he couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. The voice whispered again. "Down here, down here." He followed it to a well in the center of town. Its wooden cover had been pushed aside. He peered into the darkness. And saw himself. A pale, wild-eyed version of himself staring back. Don't trust the others, the double said. They don't know yet. But they will. The next morning, Jake was gone. His sleeping bag was empty. His camera lay on the floor. On the camera screen was a single video. In the video, Jake whispered to someone unseen. They're not real, none of this is real. Ash Hollow isn't a town. It's alive. The group stared at each other in silence. The fog outside pressed against the windows. And somewhere in the distance, the gramophone began to play again. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. The morning was gray. The group sat around the old kitchen table, staring at Jake's empty chair. His camera still lay where they found it. No one wanted to press play again. Ellie broke the silence. We need to find him. He wouldn't just leave us here. Tyler shook his head. Did you see that video? He was talking to nothing. Like he'd lost his mind. Sarah whispered. Or maybe this place made him lose it. Mason stood. Look, we'll split up. Search the houses nearby. If we don't find anything, we're leaving. No one argued. But deep down, they all knew. There was no leaving Ash Hollow. Outside, the fog hadn't lifted. The houses seemed closer now. Like they had shifted in the night. The road they drove in on was gone. Where it had been, there was only a field of dead grass. Jasmine and Ellie searched the east side of town. As they passed an old church, they heard footsteps inside. Jake, Jasmine called. No reply. The door creaked open. Inside, pews were overturned. Candles melted into black puddles on the floor. At the altar, a book lay open. Ellie read the words aloud. They come when the light dies. The sound of footsteps echoed again. This time, from the ceiling. They looked up. Nothing. Tyler and Sarah searched the west side. At a small house, they found a child's drawing pinned to the door. Stick figures. 6 of them. Standing in a circle. In the center, a black scribble. Beneath it, a word. U.S. Tyler laughed nervously. Kids and their creepy art, huh? Sarah didn't answer. She was staring at the black scribble. It seemed to pulse, faintly. Back at the main house, Mason waited. He checked his watch. The second hand spun wildly, then stopped. The clock now read, 12 hours 61 minutes. He blinked. The numbers changed again. Midnight. The fog outside thickened. Shapes moved in the gray. Shadows with no bodies. The front door rattled. Mason grabbed a chair and shoved it under the handle. From the other side, a voice whispered. You're not supposed to be here. Ellie and Jasmine ran back first. They slammed the door behind them, gasping. There's something out there, Ellie said. Shadows, Jasmine whispered. They were following us. Tyler and Sarah arrived moments later. They too looked pale and shaken. This place isn't right, Sarah said. It's not just abandoned. It's alive. That night, they locked all the doors and windows. But the house felt smaller somehow. The hallways stretched longer. Rooms weren't where they had been. It was as if the house itself was moving. At 3:33 a.m., Mason woke to a sound. A faint scratching at the window. He pulled back the curtain. A face stared back. His own face. But the eyes were black. You've been here before, it said. You just don't remember. The next morning, another chair at the table was empty. This time, it was Jasmine. The group was shrinking. And outside, Ash Hollow seemed to grow. The fog never lifted that day. The group sat in silence around the table. 2 empty chairs. Jake and Jasmine. The house creaked and shifted like an old ship at sea. Ellie stared at her hands. They looked pale. Do I seem different to you? She asked. No one answered. Tyler paced back and forth. Something's wrong with time, he said. I checked my watch. It's been 3:12 for hours. Sarah spoke quietly. Maybe time doesn't work here the way we think it does. Mason rubbed his temples. We need to get out. Now. Find the van. Drive until this place disappears. Ellie looked at him. And if the road isn't there anymore? They tried anyway. The fog was thick as milk. The streets twisted and shifted. Houses appeared where none had been before. The church was now on the opposite side of town. The well was gone. "Wait," Mason said. "This isn't possible. Towns don't move." They reached where the van had been. It was gone. In its place stood an old, rusted car. The doors hung open. On the windshield, written in dust, "You are home." That night, they heard footsteps in the attic. Heavy. Slow. But when Mason climbed up with a flashlight, there was nothing. Just a mirror in the center of the floor. In the mirror, his reflection smiled. But he wasn't smiling. Sarah sat alone in the corner. Her journal open. She was writing furiously. Ellie approached her. "What are you doing?" Sarah didn't look up. "Recording. Someone has to remember. Even if we don't make it out." Ellie sat beside her. "Do you know something about this place?" Sarah hesitated. "My grandfather, he was here once. Back in the 50s. He told me about it before he died. Said the town ate his friends. He barely escaped." She looked up, eyes shining with fear. "This isn't a town. It's a trap." Suddenly, the gramophone downstairs began to play again. "Ashes, ashes, we all fall down." Mason and Tyler ran to the sound. The gramophone sat in the center of the living room, spinning, but unplugged. The door slammed shut behind them. Tyler pulled the handle. It wouldn't budge. From the walls came whispers. "Stay, stay." The lights flickered. Shadows stretched across the floor, reaching for their feet. Tyler screamed. "Let us out. Let us out." The whispers grew louder. "You've always been here." Suddenly, silence. The door creaked open. But Mason and Tyler were gone. Sarah and Ellie were alone now. Ellie whispered, "2 more empty chairs." The fog didn't lift. Ellie and Sarah sat in the kitchen. 4 empty chairs. Mason, Tyler, Jake, Jasmine. Their names were still carved into the wooden wall. But now, 2 more names had appeared beneath them. Ellie, Sarah. Sarah whispered, "It's writing us in." Ellie gripped her arm. "No, we're getting out." But outside the window, the streets had changed again. Houses moved. Doors appeared where windows had been. The road was gone. Only the well remained. Its wooden cover now missing. Sarah stood up slowly. "It wants us to go there." Ellie shook her head. "It's a trap." Sarah looked at her, eyes empty. "We're already trapped." They stepped into the cold air. Their breath hung like smoke. The town was silent. But as they walked, faint whispers followed. "Stay, stay." At the well, Sarah peered inside. Darkness stared back. Then, movement. A pale hand reached up from the black. It looked like hers. Ellie grabbed her shoulder. "Don't." But Sarah's face was calm. "I remember now." "What?" Ellie asked. "I've been here before." The hand gripped Sarah's wrist. In an instant, she was gone. Swallowed by the darkness. Ellie screamed. "Sarah!" The fog thickened. Shadows closed in. A voice whispered in her ear. "You can't leave." Ellie ran. She didn't know where. The streets twisted endlessly. Every corner led back to the well. Her own voice echoed in the fog. "Stay, stay." She stumbled into a house. It was the same house as before. The kitchen. The table. 6 chairs. All empty. On the wall, she saw the names again. This time, there were 7. The last one read, Ellie. She turned to the cracked mirror. 7 figures stared back. The 7th one smiled. It was her. But the eyes were black. "You've always been here," it whispered. "You just forgot." Ellie opened her mouth to scream. But no sound came. New moon cut to black. Narrator. Ash Hollow doesn't let go. It keeps what it catches. And it's always hungry.